Welcome to the Pzaz Filmmaker interview series. At Pzaz, we've made it our mission to help film and video makers succeed. In this series, we'll be speaking to interesting people from across the film industry. We'll gain insight into their journeys to help share their lessons with our audience.
Today's guest is Christos Megarchiotis. Christos is a filmmaker with an extremely interesting background in a variety of areas. Christos knew from a young age that he wanted to work in films, and first got to work on making films when his father bought him his very first camera as a teenager. Listen to the full interview to hear Christos's insights on how to make it in the wide world of film.
So my first question for you was, what are your earliest memories of filmmaking?
My earliest memories of filmmaking, I think I should start what was the first, the first way I came contact with the films. I think it was my local rental, in my neighborhood. I watched all the movies since I was 8 years old. I started watching movies. The sci-fi section, I watched everything, adventures and everything, and I was renting movies more than one time or two times. So yes, I was very carried away by movies, on an early age. I watched movies that I shouldn't watch, like Alien and stuff when I was 8 years old, or or the Terminator and stuff like that, which were not meant for my age. But if you start, you cannot stop with the films. I remember I watched Jurassic Park when I think I was 12. I was so blown away from this film. Even even Jurassic Park is a horror movie if you think about it. It's not like meant for kids, but it's a horror movie for kids, as I used to say. So this is my first contact with filmmaking, and I started in my mind thinking that what a great way of communication is filmmaking. So then I begged my father when I was about 17 years old to buy me a video camcorder. He bought me the digital one, a home camcorder. And I think I didn't stop filming my friends, filming my family, making short movies. I made a war film about the age of 18 with all my friends, with costumes, whatever we found. I'm from a village from Trikala called the Drohori, which means the exact translation is three village. So I gathered all my friends, 20 people, and whatever costumes we had to wear and guns and stuff, and we started making movies with this tiny camcorder. But the thing is that I didn't understand how to edit it. I didn't know anything about video editing at an early age, so I was thinking I should edit it while I'm shooting it. So I was shooting and editing at the same time. I had to cut at the point where I should cut, when the action is finished. So if I needed to put some music, I had a small Walkman playing next to the camcorder, and I had to stop it and continue when I was shooting the next shot. But this was my first contact with filmmaking when I was 18, 16 years old, something like this.
No, that's amazing. And I know obviously, there's a lot of filmmakers will have seen other directors and filmmakers who have made amazing films. You say that you saw Alien and The Terminator from a really, really young age. Who,
Yes.
who were some of your, favorite directors and filmmakers, throughout the years? Who did it start with, and has it stayed the same, or have you got any newer sort of filmmakers that you like?
I think there was a movie that made a great impression on me. It was the Close Encounters of the Third Kind. When I watched it, I was blown away, when I was like 7 years old, I think. Because when you're a child and you watch movies, they have a great impact on you, not like today. So I think my Steven Spielberg is one of my favorite directors even today. And other movie directors, as I started watching movies like Ridley Scott or Oliver Hoffen with mostly the the movies that they were blockbusters. But I think even today they're my favorites as well. Of course I started finding other more like Martin Scorsese or David Lynch as the years progressed. But I think these were my favorites as on an early stage, on the early stages of life.
Yeah. No, that's amazing. And I suppose that leads me on to, what's your specific role in the film industry? What sort of work are you doing at the moment?
I started on 2004 working professionally as a director, as a producer. I work as a video editor as well. I work as a DP, as a camera operator, and as a visual effects artist as well. So, and in my free, and I think I composed a music for a short film on 2008, and scriptwriter as well.
Yeah, of course. And did you find it hard? What happened in between your dad getting you that camera recorder when you were really young to kind of getting your first job in film? How did you make it happen? Because it can be quite a hard transition to actually make a living from that sort of work.
That's true. When I was 19, I decided to go and study like electrical engineering, electronic engineering in Newcastle, in the UK.
Okay, that's interesting.
But there I found myself, instead of studying, I was writing stories and scripts about movies, and I was buying books about filmmaking. And my dad told me, why you wanted to study this and why you don't become a film director? Why you're doing this to yourself? So I dropped out and I started the school in Athens, a filmmaking school. So, and this is when I professionally started working as a camera operator first. But I did so much practice with my small camcorder that I was completely ready to start professionally. You know, I was shooting everything and I learned everything about white balance, about focusing and stuff. So when I started just like that, working as a camera operator, I didn't go from a stage of being assistant or something like this completely.
And what's you've already said like the various things that you do within the filmmaking industry. What's your favorite role? Like, what's the favorite thing that you'd be going to do that day for work? Is it filmmaking, script writing, video editing? What's your favorite thing?
I think the whole procedure of making a movie, and of directing, and because I know most of the technical aspects of making a movie, I think I enjoy it so much that there's no other feeling in the whole world that can overcome it. By making a movie, by as an author in a way, like as a creator. Because nowadays the directors, they should be they are most of them they are technical directors. They know everything about camera, about editing and stuff. It's not like in the 60s or the 70s or the 80s where the director was the director. He didn't have to know anything about technical stuff. Maybe of course he had to know about composition or maybe some photography, theoretical stuff. But nowadays I think there is a way the most of the directors are you know people who can start from the development of writing a script till the editing process, and they know most of the technical stuff.
And do you have, speaking of passion, speaking about the areas of filmmaking that you really like, obviously there will be people watching these interviews that want to get to the level that you've reached already. So, do you have any advice for any young filmmakers that are trying to break through into the industry? Is there anything that they can do, or is it as simple as just studying it and then obviously there's elements of luck?
I think studying is watching a lot of films. Of course, people must go to film schools because this is where you start meeting people with the same interest like you. But I think the best school about filmmaking is making movies. You should make movies as much as possible, and very often. I think I remember myself when I started when I was 18, 16 years old making a movie. Every time I made a movie, I learned so many stuff to go to the next step. So I think is making movies the best way do it, and try not to be very not to be afraid, very analytical about your project, like, "Oh, I have done it well." Try to do it better every time, and I think you will get better and better as you progress in the filmmaking world.
Yeah, definitely. Um, and obviously, so we're talking about the positives of filmmaking and how to get into it, but is there anything that you wouldn't do? Is there anything that you think is either bad advice or just something that a lot of filmmakers do that might hinder their progress or mean that a film they've made isn't as good as it could have been? Is there anything that you shouldn't do within filmmaking?
When people tell me you cannot do that, this is what this is my most, and when someone, for example, I did a short film in the second for the Second World War in 2008, and I wanted to show like a visual effect of a Stuka aeroplane, a German aeroplane, bombarding a house. Most of the people told me you cannot do this right now. And I sat by myself. I learned visual effect programs, After Effects, and by using a model and stuff, I managed to do it. By people, the most bad and good advice that people tell me, that when they tell me you cannot do that, you cannot do something. This is the most good thing they could say to me, because I get so engaged by this phrase that I managed to do it. So nothing is impossible if you try it, and you achieve it.
No, definitely. That's really good advice. And it's the whole thing of just making sure that if there's a will, there's a way. If you want to do
If
something,
there is a will, there is a way. Exactly.
yeah.
So this is the most bad and good advice that someone could tell me is you cannot do it. This is when I do it. In a way.
It's a great way to be. I mean, in all aspects of life. And so that's interesting. It's quite a good segue onto the next question. I've been thinking, how do you measure your own and your team's success when you are filming a project? Is it that, there's always a way to do it, so do it, or is there another way that you measure your success?
I think measuring your success is to achieve your vision that you have from the beginning, and of course to be on schedule. Sometimes,
Mm.
when you see the dailies and you see this is my vision, I think this is when you achieve it. Because filmmaking is like painting. You have something in your mind and you say, I will paint this. If you manage to do it, then you have done it. It's a success. And I think that you have to pass most of the information that is in your mind to your team, so they can understand as well what you're trying to do. It's a visual and audio thing, filmmaking. So you have to pass visual elements and visual information. And I think you have to encourage them a lot, because filmmaking is one of the most hardest professions in the world, and the most rewarding at the end.
And if you've already explained, how long a journey that you've had from being a young budding filmmaker to actually making it in the industry now. But if you were starting over, what would you do differently? If anything, you might not do anything differently and be completely happy with your journey. But is there anything that you change?
I think when I was 16 years, 17, 18, in my mind was, should I be a film director? Should I do like something more? I was thinking in my mind something that I could make the way of living, something more profitable. So I went to study something else of what I was really am. So I was a director, and I should say this to myself and take the decision to start directing from an early stage and not to do something else. I think the best thing is to focus and understand as fast as possible what you are in life, and do it and focus on that thing.
No, no, yeah, no, that sounds like, yeah, I hear that a lot. I think that's quite a common thing. And
Yes.
And so looking at the other side of things, when you've finished a project, once you've got a film done and dusted, all completed, what do you find is the best way of marketing your own film projects? You've made it, but then you need to get it out there. Is it social media, or are there other areas that you think are really useful?
I think the king right now is social media. and the trailer. I think the trailer is the number one, and is the like I want to watch movies with my daughter that is 20 years old, and tell me that tell her well, there is a very nice movie you have to watch. She said, no, I want to watch the trailer first. And the trailer is always, for her, the number one reason if we will watch this movie or not. And I think like a good trailer that passes and gives you good information about the movie is the number one in marketing. And of course, is the classic ways of marketing of like press kits, social media as much as possible. But I think the trailer is the most important from all.
And speaking of trailers and film, film projects that you've completed, are there any projects you're working on at the moment that you can tell me about and maybe talk about the role that you're having in those projects?
I'm working currently on my first feature film because I have done only short films till now, and it's gonna be 12 short films. It will start from the start of the human civilization till the nowadays or maybe in the future. And there is a thing that connects everything, like a metaphysical being that you can find it everywhere. And in some way, all these stories they come and they connect in a way at the end. It's in development, so I'm currently writing it. So I hope soon I will have more information about the film.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if it's only in development. So have you written a story for it, or is it very much just a concept at the moment?
Now I'm just writing stuff here and there, and I'm putting them in like a puzzle. This is how I start developing a project. I have like ideas for a scene or for a shot, and from there I try to connect the puzzle. I will put this there, here, there. So now it's connected pieces here and there in a way.
And is that generally how you write? Like, even with your earlier short films, would you storyboard it and then put different elements in different places, or what's your process for writing generally?
I think this is the process. I'm never using like most of the people. What they do is like write a short, summary of what they want to do. Me, I'm just picking things from my mind when I'm in a very relaxing situation, like I'm walking in the forest or something, and something comes into my mind. I said, okay, I have to put this. Then maybe another day I wake up, oh, nice idea. I try to find things that they come very, not so much controlled stuff and more and I find this more like engaging in a way, not like you have to push yourself, let the things come to you freely in a way, so that works for me better.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's really, really interesting. I mean, it's a real skill to be able to use mostly your brain just to just to think up concepts and ideas and not have them
i
written.
I think the skill is how to connect these things because maybe sometimes they're irrelevant, like you know
Yeah, yeah,
but
no, that makes sense. And so with your first feature-length film, when you're ready to go into production with that, what role are you going to play? Are you going to direct it as well as having written it or and produce it? What's your idea there?
I would love only to direct it, but I think I have to be involved in most of the production process because of financial reasons. Greece is a limited country in terms of film production. And if you want to have the best result, I think you have to make your hands dirty in a way, and you have to edit, and you have to write and produce it, and find ways, good ideas and cheap ideas to do things to look more close to your vision. So yeah, I would like to avoid that, but for my first feature, I have to be in control everywhere in a good way, not like.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And even though the film that you're working on now is in its really early stages, have you encountered any challenges yet? Have you met any roadblocks? Have you almost confused yourself with your own story at any point, or has anything like that happened?
I I think the biggest block, the biggest challenge is myself. That because I have to do other things for making a living, like video projects and stuff, and corporate videos or commercials. So I'm trying to push myself, so hard to avoid procrastination when I'm when I want. I have to rest and, empty my mind, to push myself to start writing, even in the middle of the night sometimes.
Yeah, it can be tough, can't it? I suppose it's when you're in charge, sometimes it can be quite hard to motivate yourself.
Yes, yes. And you don't, sometimes there's a saying that too much analysis causes paralysis. Don't analyze things so much. Just write them, just do them. Uh, I try your actions to be faster than your thoughts sometimes. The thoughts that are blocking you. I
Hmm.
think just, don't think about it so much. That just do it.
And speaking of that, if you're getting caught up in your own thoughts, do you ever run your ideas past anyone? Like, do you run them past your family or your friends or anything, or do you keep it all very, central to just you until it's out there?
I think I pass ideas only to people that they will give me back a good advice and they have a knowledge of storytelling or script writing. There are two or three friends that sometimes I might tell them ideas when they're very solid, not when they are, a little bit more in the development. And I know that I will get a good feedback from them. Because sometimes in filmmaking is you try to describe something in words, and words are not good in terms of audiovisual content. So you when they see the final result, they said, "Oh, so this had you had in mind. It's great," but they cannot, understand when you're trying to describe it in words. So yeah, I'm very careful on that because sometimes I might get a negative feedback, and it might get me back a little bit.
Okay, yeah, no, that makes sense. And, you're in really early stages for your first feature-length film. Do you have any plans or any idea on what you'd like to work on even after this? Like, have you always wanted to make multiple feature-length films, or would you like to do some more shorts or even something else?
I think making feature films and short films is the only thing I can do in life. There is no other thing. If you throw me in the city and you tell me you have to survive, I would say, where's the camera? Give me a camera. This is the only way to survive. I cannot, become a waiter or something. I will be very bad in this. I think this is the only thing I can do. I feel in a way I was born to do that. There's no other way for me professionally and
No.
creatively as a person.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's it's perfect because sometimes for people it's hard for them to find what they want to do, and you've clearly found it. And just to wrap up, pretty much my last question for you. It's been fascinating talking to you. Um, I was wondering, are there any projects that you'd like to promote? Obviously, we've spoken about your first feature-length film, but it's in early stages. Are there any previous projects you want to tell me about and for the viewers and listeners to see and hear about?
Sure, the project that I'm very proud of is the my first short film it's called The Light Before Dawn. It's like a it's a war drama, period war drama in the Second World War. And my short film, a horror movie, which I shot with very little bit of means, but it came out. I'm very proud of it as well. Is the dark side of the mirror. The dark side of the mirror
No, that sounds good.
is a
Horror is my favorite genre, so I'll definitely give that a watch. Where can you sort of watch these films?
you can watch them for free on YouTube. So everybody can watch them there. They're free to watch.
Brilliant. Okay. No, that's fantastic. Christos, thank you so much for speaking to me. It's been really, really interesting. I'm always interested to hear filmmakers' journeys, from a young age and how they got to where they are today. It's been great to talk to you. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Sam, as well. And it was great to meet you, and it was a great opportunity to speak to people. And I hope that they will learn something from this interview.
Absolutely. Thanks, Christos.
We hope you enjoyed watching today's interview. This video is part of the Filmmaker interview series from Pzaz. At Pzaz, we're building a production ecosystem that helps you to get things done. To try it for free, visit pzaz.io today. Thanks for watching.